guys, what's up? How's it going? I'm your host, Migdalia, and welcome to another episode of Life with Migdalia. What's up? How's everyone doing? How are ya? How you feeling? Did you check in with yourself today? I sure as shit didn't. I should probably do that later. Um, I had something on my mind and it just slipped away. So, um, my memory has been kind of shitty lately, for sure. I don't know if that's like an older thing or the fact that my mind is just a million places because I have a million thoughts. Um, yeah, but I've been really trying to pinpoint products that I want to sell. You know how we talked about how there's so many hobbies. Oh, before I forget, if you notice in the previous episode that I told two stories, the exact same story, correction, just ignore it because sometimes I do these episodes and I don't like one half of them, so then I'll just like crop it and edit it where I do like it and then delete the rest. So that's what happened. But back to what I was saying, the products, because I talked about how it's so hard for me to pinpoint like an actual hobby that I'm interested in, which I'm interested in a lot of hobbies. It's just hard to actually hone in on one and actually get good at it. So I'm a very well-rounded type of crafter, I guess, which is not a good thing to be. You want to have one hobby honed in so that way you can get better at it instead of like doing it and then stopping halfway and then you just don't get in your progress. But I've also said before that when I'm not good at something the first time, I kind of, suck. Because in my head, it's more so like, oh, if I'm like supposed to be super talented or have a hidden talent, I should be good at this right off rip. No, I don't think that's the case. And yeah, but the point of that talk is I'm trying to come up with products to sell on Etsy. And by the time this episode airs, I'll probably have some products on sale on my Etsy. Which my Etsy should just be Life with Migdalia. So I'm gonna have necklaces, soap, like handmade goat's milk soap, because I have super sensitive skin. And then, what else? Body scrub. So those are the three that I'm starting off with. And eventually I'll progress into other things because I like making crafts and soap and stuff. But yeah, I don't know who has sensitive skin too. Like, shout out to you. But I've gotten, like, my eczema has gotten worse, I guess. And usually I just have it on my hands, but now it's like starting to affect my fingertips. And then psoriasis. Like I learned this past year that I also have psoriasis. So if you have that, shout out. And it's basically just dry scalp. So I have to I have to use a special shampoo that has a higher acidity so that way it cleanses the scalp more. It's such a pain in the ass. Like I hate wearing black sometimes or whatever because then it just looks like it's snowing outside in the middle of summer and it's not. It's just my head and it's super unfortunate. Don't make fun of people who have that because it's not in our control. We have probably tried everything. Head and shoulder shampoo, wearing a bonnet, putting coconut oil on our head and letting it sit there for 30 minutes. I've used the glycolic acid or whatever from Ordinary products to let that sit in my head. It does work. It is nice. But the product itself is expensive. And it usually comes in a big bottle. But if you need something new to use to kind of subdue your psoriasis or dry scalp, use glycolic acid. I'm pretty sure that's the correct one. It's like that weird, it looks like apple juice or pea, I guess, but more like apple juice. And you just use that. You put it on your head, you rub it in, and then you leave it on your scalp for 30 minutes. It depends. Like, if it gets more Milo. Oh my God, I've never met a noisier dog in my life. Can you lay down? Lay down. My goodness. You have a bed right there. Okay, he's gonna lay there. What was I talking about? Oh, glycolic acid. Yeah. You want to like kind of gauge and start off like with 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20, and then try to work your way up to 30. I've also tried rice water to help with my hair. What else have I tried? Because I just feel like gross because of it. Like, it makes me feel like a gross human being, and that's not fair. And it's really not true. It's just dry scalp. So I really wish there was like an actual product that would get rid of it. And if you guys know of any, put that in like a comment, or like comment on one of my videos or something saying, hey, I listened to this episode. If I also suffer from psoriasis, if you ever want like a new hair product to try blah, 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 blah. But yeah. I've struggled with that for a very long time, and I've also struggled with eczema. It's typically on my right hand. I don't really know why. But the story behind that, I think, I don't really know if something actually happens where it kickstarts it. But I remember before this happened, I never had any issues. I was fine. I was golden. And then this shit happened, and I was like, So when I was like 9, okay, I really, really wanted a pet. Crazy way to start off, but yeah. I really, really wanted a pet. And my parents' best friends, they got me my first pet. We also lived in an apartment, so I couldn't really get a dog. I couldn't really get a cat. My dad, I think, is allergic to cats. And apartments only let you have like specific types of animals. So they got me frogs. Like, their best friends had these fucking frogs in their bedroom for like a week before my birthday, and gifted me 2 little frogs. Well, the thing about me is I'm a germaphobe, and I was talking to somebody earlier about this today too. Because this woman came in sick, and I like immediately got the Lysol spray and sprayed everything. Because I don't like being sick. I absolutely hate being sick. And which is crazy because I have a really great immune system. But, you know, if you're sick all the time, you're used to being sick all the time. Versus if you have a great immune system and you aren't sick all the time, you hate being sick. Yeah, ABC, whatever. So if I know that you're not sick and you're good and I'm like comfortable enough with you, I will share my drink with you. Now, I know that's wrong. I know that's bad. That's unsafe. It's unsanitary because you never know what somebody has. Which I have a couple friends who they don't even have like illnesses, and it's not contact, like it's not passed through mouth stuff, but there are things that can be passed through saliva and mouth stuff. But anyway, me being a germaphobe, like, I don't like when other people are sick. Don't come near me. Like, I hate it. To the point where I will seclude, like when I was younger, I would seclude myself into my bedroom, drink orange juice that I fucking hated, by the way. Like, I learned to love orange juice so that way I wouldn't get sick. Side note, if you are sick and decide to drink orange juice while you are sick, you will get even more sick. Same thing goes for milk. If you drink milk while you are sick, you will get more sick. You have to drink orange juice before, because it gives you vitamin C. Did that. Little background for that. So, going back to my main story, bear with me. I'm a germaphobe. Hate it, hate it, hate it. So when I was presented these cute little adorable froggies, I was so excited. I was so excited to have these cute little frogs. I was like, oh my God, they're so adorable. Like, I'm just gonna love them and blah, 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 blah. Well, my parents' other friends decided to look at 9-year-old me and say, as a joke, yeah, they're poisonous. And I thought they were dead serious. Like, I, for real, thought they were serious. So, from then on, I thought these frogs in my room were poisonous to the point where I even touched them, I was gonna die. I'm being so for real. As soon as I had to clean their little tank, which was just like a little tank, okay? It wasn't even a glass tank. It was a plastic one. Fake plants, plastic, they looked more fake than actual fake plants. It was just a little terrarium, probably the size of a goldfish tank, okay? Every time I had to clean them, I would wash my hands constantly, and I would keep track of the things that I touched accidentally. And in my mind, I was like, oh my God, what if I touched my beanbag chair and this has the frogs saliva or mucus on it, and now I'm gonna touch my mouth with my fingers because I chewed my nails at the time, and then I die. That was me. That was my thought process. Oh my God, I know it's ridiculous. I know it's crazy. So I washed my hands so much, constantly, to the point where it dried out my hands where they would crack and bleed. I had to go to a dermatologist. My mom took me to a dermatologist to get special cream, and it smelled so bad that I tried to keep it consistent and put it on my hands, but it was not working for little 9-year-old Migdalia. It was not working. Eventually, as I've gotten older, I've gotten better. But yeah, it all started because I thought, I had gotten poisonous frogs and I was gonna die. Another thing that freaked me out as a kid was natural disasters and other illnesses. And that's probably due to the fact that I watched one of my grandmothers suffer from cancer and die. So illness has always been a really big fear of mine. Which, I don't know if that's anybody else, but that's a little background. But to dive into the topic that we are going to discuss today, right now, here with me on this podcast. What accent was that supposed to be? I don't know. Fuck it. But we're going to talk about something that isn't... It's easy to ignore when our hearts are involved, okay? We put on our rose-tinted glasses and we don't really see the signs. Red flags. And sometimes it's not that we didn't see them. It's just that we hoped that they would turn green, Maybe we're colorblind. Who knows? But here's the thing, okay? This is why red flags matter. They are very important to our survival, even as women, okay? And I mean that with my whole heart. We need to have our own backs because people aren't always going to be our friends. People aren't always going to have our best interests at heart. And I had to learn that a lot the hard way. So I'm going to bestow my wisdom upon you, sprinkle it on your clits, and give this information to you. No charge. Maybe buy a necklace. No charge. So, I have had, 2 relationships before the one I am currently in as of this moment. I'm going to tell you the difference before all of these, okay? First red flag. I dated a guy, and my family, we can thank for the code name that we're about to give him, Shop Rat. Because every time we did something, okay, he was like always dirty, and it was mainly because he was a mechanic, so he always worked on cars. He was just always like dirty, he looked greasy, like barely brushed his teeth, like you could tell. Automatically, red flag, okay? Yeah. But the one that sticks out to me now, these people had several mixed flags, okay? I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I was fucking stupid. But at that time, when I was dating Shop Rat, we're not gonna, I mean, I'll talk about the one that was significant, but I was in a relationship, not really, with this guy who went to prison that we will call Jailbait. Jailbait took my virginity, and consensually, of course. The unconsensual one, we will talk at a different date. But I was super messed up after that. So I thought, I did this shitty thing and I deserve to be treated shitty. Also, he kind of reminded me of an environment of how I grew up. You know, yelling, not showing emotion, like blowing up, controlling, like super bad. He questioned my outfit choices like all the time. I got my first tattoo when I was in that relationship, and all he did was shit on my first tattoo. Like, why would you want to do that to your body? And anything that happened, I had to hear about it from his parents whispering in his ear, okay? Like, I would be around his family a lot, and they would say something, I would try to chime in, and at that point in time, it was just me kind of more so talking about myself in a way that I didn't realize I was talking about myself. It was more so the way like, oh, this thing happened to you, so let me tell you a story that was similar to what happened to me, so that way we can find common ground and we can get to know one of each other. God damn it, I'm stuttering so much. And that's what I thought I was doing. That is what I thought I was doing with his family. But come to find out, he had to have a chat with me because I remember this vaguely, but he basically said, hey, my family thinks that you talk about yourself way too much, and they're starting to say things to me about it. And in my head, I'm like, oh, okay. So my solution pretty much was to just sit there and look pretty, because I had to monitor everything that I said for him around his family. Like, I wasn't speaking about anything bad. It was just random stories about like my family, my history, what I've been through, like I don't know, simple stuff you talk about with your partner's family. Like, I don't know. And then he would go and I would go over to his house. He would spend the whole entire time working in the garage with his dad, because his dad owned his own like body shop, which was in their yard. And I would go hang out with his mom because I didn't want to be out in the garage. I'm not interested in cars. I don't care about cars. And it got to the point where I was probably hanging out with his mom for like a week or two, and then he gave me another chat of, my parents think it's so weird that you spend the time out there like in the house with my mom than spending time with me in the garage. And I'm like, you don't even talk to me while I'm in the garage. And when you are, you're working on cars. And he's like, well, you could learn how to work on cars with me. And I'm like, standing here in my tank top, ruffled pink tank top, hair done, nails painted, toes painted, with my makeup on and my skinny jeans, bracelets, like jewelry. Like, I am a girly girl, okay? I am very feminine. There's no way that my ass is going to go work in a garage on cars with someone whom barely speaks to me and just criticizes me on everything and blah, 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 and all this and that on something that I just am not interested in. You know, shout out to the girls who do that, but that is not me, and I knew it right then and there, okay? I ended up breaking up with him, of course, but like those small red flags, like, he was just gross. They were all just disgusting. And then the second one, I met shortly after this one, okay? And this one, the bunch of red flags, okay? It should have been fucking plastered to my goddamn forehead. I should have went screaming for the hills, okay? Some of you aren't going to agree with some of the things that I say, and that's okay. Some of you will. Like, it's a 50-50 chance. So I met this guy who I went to middle school with. We're going to call him Pugsley. Now, if you are coming over from the previous podcast, you know these names. They are very familiar. I talked about them in previous episodes. So, but I'm older now, and I got more shit to say. I've learned. And I can control my thought process a lot better than I used to. So here we go. Met Pugsley on Bumble, to be exact. We talked, okay? He, super charming, great, conversationalist, blah, 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 blah. We met, well, I was inviting him over to, you know, my place, because I had my own apartment at that time, and he ditched me. He bailed on me completely and ended up going to Canada. Red flag number one, okay? If somebody is actually interested in you, they're not going to play games. They're actually, you know, going to follow through with plans and not ditch you. So keep in mind, he ditched me to go to Canada. Now, I want you to remember this part for further storytelling time. Okay? Numero uno. Then, what the hell was I doing? We eventually ended up meeting. It was fine. And then he ended up taking me to Canada with him later in that month that we met, because we met we started talking Labor Day weekend. Ended up hanging out a few times, hooking up, talking, like going to Canada with him for the first time, and that's where I got drunk. Well, you know, when you're drunk, you're high on life, you're having a good time. I was in a club vibing, and I ended up telling him, like, oh, I love you, whatever, while drunk. That's my red flag. You should never tell somebody you love them on an emotion that, not even an emotion, just in the heat of a moment type of thing, even though it's not true. So, told him that, and then a couple weeks later, not even a couple weeks later, a week later, he, started getting distant, whatever, and then he ended up texting me on Halloween saying he missed me, whatever, which we're not really going to call that a red flag, but it's like, okay. Then, come what May, like, I was hoping to spend my 21st birthday with him, ended up spending it with my buddy Alec, and we had a great time, just me and him going out to the club, like, it was a good time. I had a good 21st birthday. Then escalated to New Year's. I ended up going with Pugsley to Canada with all of his friends again, and we were walking out of the hotel, and I saw the side of his phone, like, looking over kind of his shoulder, and I looked at him, and I saw the two colors that no girl wants to see. Can you guess? Can you guess? Bumble and Tinder. Boom. Saw it on his phone. And then I looked over at him and I was like, did I just see Bumble and Tinder on your phone? Like, trying to play it off cool because I was like, okay. He said, no, let's just catch up with everyone. And he put his phone in his pocket. And I was like, I know what I fucking saw. You know, girls' intuition. So, fast forward, I end up going through his phone because he gave me the password. And this is where people are going to be like, you shouldn't go through anyone's phone, blah, blah, blah. I think that if they give you the password, that means it's full-on access for everyone. Why would you give me the password if you didn't want me to fucking use it? Went through his phone while he was sleeping, okay? Lied to me, whatever. Obviously, his red flag. I woke him up. I was upset. He ended up turning the whole thing on me, be like, oh, this is an invasion of privacy. Like, this is crazy. And he ended up being like, oh, we could have had like a nice breakfast together. We could have had a nice morning and you fucking ruined it and blah, 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 and this and that. And then he got in the car with me, threatened, I think at some point he threatened to leave me in Canada, and then drove back to my car. And then he, like, tried to, later he was like, I never want to speak to you ever again, blah, blah, blah. He didn't end up blocking me because we were together for, like, 3 years. But, yeah. He was screaming in my face. That continuously happened throughout our relationship, screaming in my face, to the point where I, like, got spit on me. Yeah. But then... there have been so many red flags throughout their relationship. It's fucking disgusting and it makes me want to throw up. And when I get more through it, we'll talk more about it. But the story that I was told you to put a pin in it, after I ended up breaking up with him, the first time, he decided to text one of his exes, and while we were, like, broken, like, I moved out, we were broken up for, like, a week. Yeah, a week or two. And then, like, when did I move back in with him? A couple weeks after that. Which it was my fucking apartment in the first place. So, really, I was just moving back into my apartment because I hated that shitty-ass apartment. It was my way to get out of it. But... we ended up getting back together after a week, which technically he didn't ask me to be his girlfriend, whatever, until December. So all of this shit was happening August, and then I moved back in September. No, all of it happened in August through September. Ended up moving back in, I think in October. Yes. Yeah. Okay. And then, obviously, November, December, he ended up asking me to be his girlfriend again in December, blah, blah, blah. Which, I got a text message, okay? And at some point, I'll get into the nitty-gritty, I guess, even more. Because I thought that a couple of times he had cheated on me through that relationship. The first time being when he moved in with me when COVID happened. So back in 2020, I ended up, I noticed that he was following his ex, and he was, like, being weird, which it was, like, he was just mad because he said that his ex cheated on him, like whatever. Not true. It was not true whatsoever. He just did that to get people to feel sorry for him. And then I ended up going through his Apple Watch. Mind you, I bought him this Apple Watch while he was at a buddy's because I was so suspicious. God, that feeling, that fucking gut feeling I get always comes back and just gnaws at me. Hold on, I'm texting my girlfriend. What are you getting? Okay. So I went through his Apple Watch where I found text messages to his best friend because we know to go through the besties text messages to find the good shit. Went through the besties text messages and he basically was telling his friend that he's still in love with his ex and he doesn't know how to live with me while still being in love with her and blah, blah, blah. Also, red flag. Crazy. So her name was like an issue in our relationship and now her and I are friends. So it really did come full circle in some type of way. And then when we broke up the first time, I found text messages to his ex who was in a relationship. There was nothing like bad about those text messages, but it was super suspicious that he lied and didn't tell me about this, which he lied several times throughout this relationship. That I didn't want to tell you because I knew you'd be upset. Like, this has caused problems before, like in the past. And I was like, okay, well, I've moved through it, whatever. So then, obviously lying, red flag. So when I broke up with him the first time, that was before, I think. And then I found the text messages. Well, he reached out to a different ex. I don't know what to call her. I'll think of a code name later. But she ended up texting me in December, okay? Saying, hey, I just want to let you know, like, he was saying all this, and this to me about you and whatever else. So this happened. And she ended up finding out that we were back together based off of an Instagram post of him Snapchatting her with the fucking shower curtain in the background that I had picked out, and then found a picture of me with said shower curtain in the background. So she pieced 2 and 2 together. Genius. Little detective work. So she sent me this text message, and then because I was mad at him when I broke up the first time and read his text messages about the ex that he had lied about, I had threatened, like, I didn't really threaten. I was just, like, so mad that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get back at him and fuck his best friend. Never happened. I was just mad. So he ended up finding out that I had said that and got mad, and this girl played me and whatever else. So when X2, who had pieced it together, we'll call her Ghost. I think I called her that as a code word before. When Ghost pieced together the Instagram pictures, she texted me, and then I found out that he had been actually lying straight to my fucking face and made me feel like such a shitty person. But that's a story for a different time. I've just had so many instances with red flags, you guys. That's basically the point. But each one of these things gets so much more wild. I don't even know if I phrased that right. And one day I will get into like the full-on depth more, because there's always more. But why do red flags matter? Because red flags aren't just bad habits. Like I said, they're warning signs that show how someone might treat your peace, your boundaries, or your growth. And ignoring these red flags, like I did, often leads to confusion, loss of self-trust, an emotional burnout. I was burnt out all the time. I was so exhausted in that relationship all the time. And I didn't even know how miserable I was until I read back journal entries to my girlfriend before, like last year. And there was one point that really just pieces this shit together. Is there was a point in time where I was not even trying to figure out my sexuality, okay? From a young age, I always knew there was something, but I always tried to ignore it or like get distracted or like do whatever else. And there was a point in time where I told him, I was like, I think I'm bisexual. And he took that as, oh my God, you're gonna leave me. Like, I can't believe this. You're only saying this because so-and-so is bisexual. Like, you're just following in their footsteps. Like, this is freaking me out. How am I supposed to trust you around, like, women or other people? It was a whole debacle, a whole thing that made me even more internalize and just be like, okay, I can never talk to him about this ever. And it took me even longer to figure out my sexuality, not just because of him, but because of everything else in this society that tries to enforce a different mindset than we actually feel. Like, oh no, you don't actually feel that. You're just like, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But the cause of that relationship, because of those red flags, caused or just led to self-doubt and confusion, questioning my reality, just the emotional exhaustion, reduced confidence and independence, and just chronic anxiety and hypervigilance. Like, after that, I was so, not even broken, I was just so lost, and I was trying to figure out who I was and what I liked and everything else. Milo. My God, he just drinks water like a fucking garden hose. Relax, please. Do you hear him? Yeah, say your piece to the world. Okay. But I felt so small and so little after that relationship that I was just trying to find myself, and I was just trying to figure it out. And it took me so long to actually be ready to be in a relationship. And it also kickstarted like me not finding men attractive. Like, I would be on Tinder and I would just match with these guys, and every like so often they'd say something and I'd be like, oh my God, I got the fucking ick. Like, this is disgusting. And the more time that went on, the more time I realized that I'm not actually interested in men. I'm interested in being desired. I'm interested, or was interested, in people chasing after me, because I was always the one doing the chasing. I looked for everything that had to check the box, to the point where maybe my standards were a little too high. Come to find out, my standards were not high at all. I just needed to find my person. And we're not dramatic for noticing red flags. We're just better and wiser for paying attention. Now, what do red flags look like? Inconsistency. They say one thing but do another. Calls, plans, or effort that constantly fluctuates. Like, that's fucking annoying. Defensiveness. When you bring up how you feel, they twist it back at you. This is my red flag, and I've said it before. Like, I get defensive, and that's because of just how I was raised, and I'm really trying to fix it. Another one is lack of accountability. They never apologize, and it's I'm sorry you feel that way. The key word is you. I'm sorry you feel that way. Never I'm sorry I made you feel that way. And then control disguised as care. Like they want to know everything you're doing, but it feels more like surveillance than love. Where are you? What time are you going to be home? What are you doing? What are you wearing? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And you're like, God damn, like what the fuck? And with that, you start shrinking. You start questioning whether or not like you're fucking up a lot, and you try to adjust yourself to fit their image. You try breaking off pieces of yourself to basically for them to chew. You overthink your words, you soften your opinions, you avoid conflict, you're walking on eggshells just to keep the peace. You know, love bombing is a red flag. The fast intensity, heavy compliments, future talk, gifts, obsession, and then it's just followed by withdrawal or controlling behavior. Like 1 minute they're talking about, oh my god, you're so beautiful, you're the best thing ever, like you're so amazing, like I want to get married, I want to have kids. And they give you gifts and they just obsess about you and they make you feel so fucking amazing and great and just whatever it is to be loved. And then they withdraw as if, you know, you got the fucking plague. Isolation patterns. They discourage you from seeing certain friends or make your family feel too much. You suddenly realize your support system is getting a lot smaller than it should be and or used to be. Another big one that a lot of people have noticed is gaslighting. They deny what happened, twist your memory, or make you question your sanity. Now, I don't know if you guys know anything about the human brain, but the human brain is so easily influenced. And I don't know if you have ever heard of this, where people will be interrogated, okay, for hours to the point where their stories will change based on who's telling them the actual story. So that's where the whole representation comes in, and you get a lawyer. Because the mind is so easily influenced. That's where gaslighting comes in. That never happened, you're overreacting, you're imagining things, and that's where you even start to feel smaller. You're like, oh my god, am I fucking crazy? Like, am I actually insane? What's going on? What is happening to me? Jealousy and possessiveness. They frame it as I care, but it comes out as like suspicion, accusations, or just policing your independence. Now, something happened with Pugsley with his family, okay? He ended up finding out that his dad was not his biological dad. So he ended up projecting those insecurities and trust issues with his mother onto me. So everything that I did looked different into the reflection based off of how he was feeling about his family situation. So if I went to go hang out with a friend, it was, what are you guys doing? Are you around any guys? Does she have a boyfriend? Is he bringing any of his friends around? Like, that's a lot. That is jealousy and possessiveness. Escalating disrespect, name calling, yelling, silent treatment, or emotional punishment. Now, mine, I used to give the silent treatment. That was with Shop Rat, because I didn't really care. I didn't really like him. He was not that much. He was, good majority of them were placeholders. And I had thought, like, oh, I got it right. Like, no, they were just fucking pussies. Which, come to find out, I actually like pussy. So, when people ask me, have you dated women? Yeah, I dated men that should have had fucking vaginas. But to be as clear as I possibly can be, if you are noticing these red flags with anyone that you are talking to or in a relationship with, honestly, this could happen with friends too. You don't deserve any of this, and none of these are normal. Okay? Say it with me. I do not deserve any of this, and none of this is normal. You have to say that to yourself multiple times in order for you to actually understand it, because I had to do the same exact thing. Well, Migdalia, how do we spot the red flags? I'm gonna fucking tell ya, because this is a free guide to help you based off of shit that has happened to moi. Pay attention to your body. Your nervous system reacts before your mind rationalizes. If you feel tense, drained, anxious, or off every time you interact with this person, believe that. Your body will know. Listen to patterns, not promises. People can say anything, okay? Their actions reveal everything. There was a point in time where, like after I broke up with Pugsley the second time, I was very much into the show me, don't say it to me. Like, prove whatever the fuck is coming out of your mouth. And I stood by that. Like, it has helped me a lot. Notice how they respond to your independence. Healthy love supports your growth. Possessive love tries to contain it. You are supposed to grow in a relationship. It's going to happen. You either grow together or you grow apart. You need your independence in order to do that. And I'm not saying like, oh, going out and partying every night and every weekend or whatever. You can have time with your friends. It's okay. But when they come back and they're like, oh, is so-and-so's boyfriend going to be there? Why wasn't I invited? Like, grow up. Watch how they handle conflict. Do they communicate or do they explode, shut down, deflect, or blame? We don't want somebody who does either of that or any of that, or especially screams in your face and calls you a piece of shit or a cold-hearted bitch. Check how you feel around them. Do you feel safe or do you feel small? You really have to think about it. Now, when do you act? If you're already in a relationship and you're not sure what to do, or if you're just getting, started talking to somebody, there's a big difference, okay? The first few months of getting to know someone, data collection, not devotion. If you notice repeating red flags early on, address them directly or distance yourself. You have that luxury of doing both. Love shouldn't require self-abandonment. Now, if you're living with them, that's a little tougher, okay? Reach out to your circle. Reach out to your family. Tell them what's going on. Tell them what you're ready for. If you don't have anyone, there's obviously more that I can say to help get you what you need. I'm going to have a list of hotlines that are going to be available at the end of this episode to help as well. And I'll give you the phone numbers and those organizations. Now, red flags aren't warnings to change them, okay? They're reminders to protect you. The right person will make you feel safe, not small. When I started talking to my girlfriend, oh my God, was it easy. It was the easiest thing ever. No complications, no drama, no guessing, no games, no trying to figure out if she was into me and whatever else. Like, it was always so easy. It was a fucking breeze. And she's still my safe space, no matter how many arguments that happen that make us feel distant, because truth be told, we are still working on ourselves because of the amount of toxic people, the amount of people that were around us with all of these red flags, and us enduring that abuse. She's been cheated on multiple times, and she knew it. I didn't find out until after, but that still leaves a scar on someone, okay? I trust her immensely, and I'm pretty sure she trusts me immensely too, or else she'd probably be more up my asshole while she's away for her job. I have no issue. I'll make a podcast about green flags, and sure as shit, most of them will be her. Red flag general definition is a behavior or pattern from a partner or other person that signals disrespect, control, or potential abuse. These are warning signs, not your fault. A trigger. Something, sight, sound, place, smell, phrase, emotion, memory, that involuntarily brings up strong traumatic or distressing reactions tied to past events. Triggers can be internal, thoughts, feelings, physical states, or external, people, places, objects. I was one time triggered by that guy screaming while throwing objects on TikTok, because that's how my ex behaved. I used to have a video of it. I'm sure I could still find it if I really wanted to. But the thorough list of red flags that I have compiled is many abusers use several of these together. Isolation plus financial control plus gaslighting, etc. If you see patterns repeating, that's a red flag, not just one-off bad day. They're all different, okay? Control and isolation, monitoring your phone, social accounts, emails, or location, demanding passwords, limiting who you see or where you go, isolating you from friends and family. Emotional and psychological abuse, constant criticism, humiliation, shaming, or belittling. You're too sensitive, you're worthless. Gaslighting, denying things happen, telling you you're imagining things, making you doubt your memory or reality. Verbal/coercive tactics, name-calling, yelling, threatening, intense jealousy, accusations, or guilt-tripping to get compliance. Using threats to control, threats to harm you, themselves, or your pets, your reputation, or to withdraw support. Financial control, controlling access to money, refusing to let you work, monitoring spending, or sabotaging your job or education. Sexual coercion or pressure, pressuring into sex you don't want, ignoring consent, or using sex as reward/punishment. Now, if you're into the kinky shit, that's different. But if it's not, red flag, huge. Physical or escalating violence, any hitting, pushing, choking, or property damage, or threats of physical harm, even minor physical contact in a pattern of control is a serious red flag. Manipulation and charm, early warning, love bombing early on, intense flattery, gifts, fast commitment, then quickly switching to controlling behavior, charming public persona, but cruel private behavior. Digital and stalking behaviors, repeated texting or calling, showing up uninvited, tracking you with apps or devices, or creating fake accounts to monitor you, minimizing or dismissing your feelings, saying things like you're overreacting or I was only joking, especially after you express concern. This erodes your sense of self over time. Unfortunately, me and my girlfriend kind of do the dismissing your feelings, but I think that's more of a different sense of thing, not just abuse, because, women are women. Now, how to spot red flags. Practical signs to watch out for. Patterns, not isolated incidences. One rude comment isn't the same as repeated demeaning behavior. Look for escalation or repetition. That's basically what I was trying to say for the dismissing your feelings that my girlfriend and I do. It's not really repetition, but it happens sometimes. We're the point where, mainly when we're about to start our periods. Now, if you've ever been around a woman that's about to start her period, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. Your inner alarm, persistent anxiety, dread before or after seeing the person, or feeling walked on around them are signals. Friends and family notice changes. Others remark you seem less confident, isolated, or different. Behavior versus promises. They apologize and promise to change, but behaviors reoccur. Promises without real change are common in abusive cycles. And what are triggers? More details. They're just automatic reactions tied to past trauma. I would get them all the time. Literally got fucking panic attacks. I would have panic attacks about dating men. Specifically. Like, I just did not want to date. I could not stand the thought, really. It made me sick. I've had multiple panic attacks after I broke up with Pugsley for even thinking about another relationship. It was bad. These are immediate coping tools for being triggered, okay? We're going to use grounding and safety techniques. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding. Name 5 things you see, 4 things you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, 1 you can taste. Stops dissociation and anchors you. Box breathing or diaphragmatic, I don't fucking know how to say that. Inhale 4 seconds, hold 4 seconds. Exhale 4 seconds, hold 4 seconds. Repeat 4 times. This slows your heart rate and calms your fight or flight. Cold water splashing or cold compress. Physical shock to interrupt intense emotional spirals. Grounding object or scent. Carry a small stone, a bracelet, or essential oil that you can dab to smell when you need to come back to the now. You have a safe person, call or text, have one trusted contact, and a short script. E.g., I'm triggered, can you stay on the phone for 10 minutes? And voila. Move your body, walk, stretch, march in place. Movement helps. Discharge nervous system activation. Do a short distraction list. 5-minute tasks. Make tea, fold a towel, do a puzzle. To ride out that intense wave, okay? All emotions are a wave. You just have to ride it out. And that's what I learned in therapy. If you dissociate, say out loud your name, the date, where you are, look at a picture of someone you trust, and put your feet flat on the ground. How do you cope with triggers from these red flag or abusive behaviors? Name and journal the trigger. Write what happened, what you felt physically, and what thought attached to it. Over time, you'll be able to see these patterns and can plan around them. Boundaries and scripts. Prepare short, set responses you can use in the moment. I don't accept being spoken to like that. We'll talk later when both of us are calm. And practice them out loud. Let's pause and come back when we're calm. That behavior is not acceptable to me. You have to say those out loud. Practice them. Limit exposure where you're safe. Reduce time around the person or situation that reliably triggers you, but make safety first decisions. And I can give you a safety plan. Grounding and reach out. Combine immediately grounding plus contacting a safe person or therapist after trigger episodes. Now, when to act. The first few months of any connection, like I said, data collection, not devotion. If you see repeating red flags, address them clearly, watch how they respond, or distance yourself. Healthy relationships don't confuse you, don't silence you, don't rush you, don't make you shrink, and don't punish your honesty. If your peace is disappearing, that's your answer. Now, recovery is not linear, okay? These are evidence-based steps that survivors commonly find helpful. Safety first. If danger is present, prioritize leaving and contacting emergency or local domestic violence support. Create a safety plan. Connect with supports, hotlines, local shelters, friends, clergy, or advocacy groups can help you make decisions without shame. The National Domestic Violence Hotline, RAINN, RAINN for sexual violence, and local women's shelters are key resources. You have trauma-focused therapy, like cognitive processing therapy, prolonged exposure, and EMDR have strong evidence for reducing the PTSD symptoms. Look for trauma-trained therapists. We have psychoeducation and normalizing reactions, learning about trauma, nervous system responses, and common abuse dynamics help reduce self-harm and shame. Rebuilding boundaries and anatomy. Practice saying no, or I don't know. Practice saying no. Managing finances, reestablishing friendships, and decision-making. Small wins will build that confidence. Practical recovery work. Document incidences, dates, times, messages, photos in a secure place if you may need evidence later on. Consider changing your passwords, securing important documents, and legal options if needed. Community and peer support. There are all kinds of support groups out there for survivors, and normalize experience and reduce isolation. And self-care and pacing. Healing takes time. It took me almost a goddamn year to stop having panic attacks. Used paced activities, sleep, hygiene, nutrition, gentle exercise, creative outlets, and rest, not fix-it pressure. Because the more you try to fix it, the more it's going to get away from you. Now, for the safety planning, if you're considering leaving or concerned about escalation, these safety planning list can reduce immediate danger. Women's Law, National Hotline, and other organizations can give these templates. Keep a small go bag with ID, birth certificates, keys, cash, meds, and copies of important documents. Memorize or save important numbers in a code word on your phone that your abuser won't notice. Identify safe places to go: friend's home, shelter, police station. Plan how or when you could leave. Time of day when abuser is away. If there's immediate danger, call emergency services. If it's not safe to call, use text or chat hotlines. If you have children, plan who will take them and where. Keep copies of custody papers if available. Consider legal protections, restraining orders. Restraining orders are going to do so much, okay? It's just a piece of paper. I don't care who says otherwise. Oh, he's going to have to keep away from you. That's not the instant we're talking about, okay? Legally, it is just a piece of paper. They can't do a goddamn thing. So make sure that you are in a safe place, a safe environment. And honestly, if you need a gun, get a fucking gun or take some self-defense classes to really help this, okay? There are too many women that die from this type of shit too often. Now, when to get professional or legal help. These are the key signs. Any physical violence or sexual coercion, call emergency services and a hotline. Preserve the evidence. Stalking, threats to safety, or escalation after you try to set boundaries. Reach out to a local advocate or law enforcement. Call the fucking police. Persistent PTSD symptoms, flashbacks, nightmares, avoidance, hypervigilance. This will all save your ass in the future. Helpful scripts and boundary lines. I won't be spoken to that way. If you want to discuss this calmly later, we can. I need space to think. Let's pause this conversation. I'm not comfortable with that. If it continues, I will leave or tell someone. If you want a no contact route, short message, then block. Only if that is safe for you. Here are the hotlines, okay? National Domestic Violence Hotline for the U.S., 1-800-799-7233, or text START, START, to 88788, chat@thehotline.com, okay? RAINN, RAINN, this is for sexual violence. The website online.rainn.org, or their phone number 1-800-656-4673. NNEDV. These are info and local resources. The website nnedv.org. CDC IPV. This is the Prevention Research and Prevention. CDC.gov. And then another is NHS and NHS Inform. Yeah, NHS and NHS Inform. Trauma and PTSD Resources Grounding Techniques. It's N as in Nancy, H as in hollow, S as in snake, period, or nhsinform.scot, SCOT. Final notes before I end the episode. You are not responsible for someone else's abusive behavior, okay? Red flags are not your fault. Getting support is a strength, not a weakness. If you're in immediate danger, prioritize safety. Call local emergency services if you have to. If it's safe to do so, contact a hotline or local shelter for next steps. Recovery often needs both practical actions like safety planning and legal steps and an emotional therapeutic support. Combining both is effective. You have to protect yourself no matter what, because you are important to someone else. Doesn't matter how low they make you feel, okay? Do not forget that. Notice the red flags before you get stuck in a terrible, terrible situation. Listen to your body. Notice things. Take into account, okay? You deserve a love that feels steady, supportive, patient, and kind. Not a love that requires you to shrink and dim your light. It's not worth it. Panic attacks are not worth it. Those bruises are not worth it. Going through PTSD is not fucking worth it, okay? You're so much stronger than you think you are, and you can get through it. Always reach out for help. Somebody has to listen. If they don't, keep trying. Those hotlines are there to save you. I will end this episode here. Please, dear God, share this with somebody who needs it. Please. Maybe it'll help them think clearly. Maybe it'll help them get out of a shitty situation. So, I will see you guys next week. Love you. Bye.